Hello and welcome to Chin Hairs and F-Bombs Conversations with Girlfriends. I am your gal pal Sal, also known as SallyAnn Gray. And today my lovely guest is Emily. Yay!
Yay! The crowd goes wild.
Emily has joined me already. Repeat guest, repeat offender, JK. Emily was beautiful enough to be my first guest on the first episode, which was about friendship, the ship that never set sail. And today we're not talking about friendship, but we're still going to be friends.
For sure.
Today we are talking about parenting. Oh, deep breath.
Whew.
Okay. Yeah.
We can do this.
We can do hard things.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about parenting without a roadmap. Man, what that means to me is I think we are the first people in the history of time and space to be doing the parenting that we are doing right now. Like, no one else has parented during this time.
Oh my
no
gosh,
one else
yeah.
has parented these age of kids with this much technology, internet, social media, the modern life that we live in. This hasn't been done before.
In the shadow of the pandemic, also having had such an impact and still having an impact.
It changed everything. And then we just kept those changes.
Right.
And we just don't know what we're doing. So I don't want anyone who's listening to this to think that we're going to come in here and tell you how to do it. Because we're not. We are going to talk about how this is hard and we feel like we're failing every day. So buckle up for that, buddies. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today, parenting and how we don't know what we're doing. Let us do some introductions. I may have mentioned I'm SallyAnn. I am visiting you today from the Lady Lounge in Portland, Maine.
You need to get some signage.
I am thinking about it. I'm going to break out my laminator. I'm going to get out my acrylic paints. Yeah, I'm really thinking about. Yes. So I'm in the Lady Lounge and it's a Sunday. I woke up early this morning, which is rude, I think, but I had some hockey to watch.
Let's do that
and
hockey.
I finished out. Oh my God, let's do that hockey. I finished the season strong. No, I didn't play. My son plays. But I feel like I lend an assist by all the driving and supporting and my loud mouth. Whoo, that's a thing. So I'm not a big sports fan, as Emily knows. But what I do like about sports, did you know I like certain things about sports?
I did know that, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the things that I like about sports are being really loud.
For sure.
Love that.
Yeah.
I also love trash talk. Super fun. Get creative.
Yeah.
Ooh, I have made up some weird things trying to trash talk. And then the camaraderie. I love the camaraderie.
Yeah.
Oh, look at us. We're all in this together. Yay, go team.
And there's often food.
Oh, that's fun.
That's a bonus, I think.
I do enjoy food.
Yeah.
That's me. Emily, you do your intro, please.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me back, by the way. Love that I'm a repeat guest. So my name is Emily Casey, and I'm coming to you from beautiful Lawrence, Kansas. I'm a kindergarten teacher here. I've got two amazing children, both boys. I'm in a house of boys. Even the dog is a boy. I'm the lone female in this house. Pray for me. Oof. I don't even know. Who knows what's going on? It's a lot. It's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. And I'm just so happy to be here.
Yay. Yeah, this is actually, we're recording this during our regular friendship call time.
Yes.
So we're really doing our regular friendship call, but we're just like broadcasting it.
For sure. Some content may need to be edited out. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know.
We have no idea. Okay, so we did our intros. You know who we are. So I guess we can just get into it then. That's what we're here to do. All right. So, parenting. Holy shit.
Woof.
Man, I think we thought we knew what we were getting ourselves into.
I was such a good parent before I had children. Such an amazing parent before I had children. Ah.
And then they show
And then
up
they
and
show
just
up.
wreck the whole thing.
Because it turns out they're their own people. Who knew?
Oof. Although sometimes I think my 11-year-old and I are the same person.
Yeah.
All right. So parenting, we thought it was going to be different than this. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but this is hard and total full-time job. And I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I was raised in the 80s and 90s. And by raised, I use that term lightly.
Loosely.
Yeah. Like, I really believe I should get myself a Mother's Day card because I raised myself. Like, that era was latchkey kids. I was a latchkey kid for sure. And I feel like I was raised on shampoo bottle instructions and hamburger helper instructions. I taught myself everything. I literally was reading the back of the shampoo. Like, how do I do this? Rinse and repeat, which they were lying to us. They were trying to get us to use way more shampoo than we needed.
That's a mad cycle. Rinse and repeat how many more times? What? How many? Am I going to be here
I just
forever?
keep going?
Yeah, I need more instruction than that.
Oh, you know what? Big shampoo. That's big shampoo for you.
For sure. But the shampoo bottle has more instructions than the child comes with.
Word. Such a good point. Remember when they handed you your child and they were like, you can leave the hospital now.
Here you go.
And I was like, are you sure about this? And they're like, you got a car seat, right? Like, you can't leave here without a car seat. And I'm like, can you come with me, though?
I'm going to need some support.
I need more than this. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So regarding what we knew coming in here, I just knew what not to do. That's what my parents showed me is what not to do. And so I swung too far the other way. My parents were not really involved. I feel like they didn't know who my friends were or if I had any. They weren't super involved in my academics. And so then I kind of overcompensated.
Yeah.
And then I was doing a term that I've learned, which is intensive parenting. And I'm like, oh, I guess that's why I'm so fucking tired.
There it is.
Huh. Shocker. Emily, tell me about your upbringing in Kansas.
Yeah. So I had the opposite of what you had, right? I was raised in a household that was very controlling. Like my parents, specifically my mother, was very involved in my life. And I'm talking about stalked me when I was in college, controlling. So it was the opposite of what you experienced. She was like very much in my business and just profoundly controlling. And I think that two things that I took away from that. The first thing that I took away from that is I'm never having children. I never wanted to get married. I did not have a good model. The marriage model that I saw was not a good one. My parents are still married somehow. But yeah, I never wanted to get married. I never wanted to have children. I was terrified that were I to have children, I would do to them what my mother did to me, because I thought that was just in me and insurmountable. The other thing that I have come to learn is that when we as parents, when we do what my mother did, when we strive for that kind of control, we're doing it wrong. I think it's hubris to think that we can control other people.
And you push people away when you do that. Right?
For sure. Absolutely. I spent so many years of my life just wanting to get out of that house. And that I don't want that for my kids. And when I did get married and when I did eventually choose to have children, like we've been talking about, there was no blueprint. I just knew that I didn't want to do that. And the funny thing about that is that you're not going towards something. You're not making a positive movement towards something. You're running away from something. And I think that a lot of us spend a lot of time, not just with parenting, right? But a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking about what we don't want instead of what we do want. And that is hard because then
It's not always productive.
it's not productive, right? You know what you don't want to do, but you don't necessarily know what you do want to do. But then
Right.
also that there are all these like paths ahead of you, right? And any one of them
Which,
could screw up your kids just as much as you got screwed up, right? So you're just making this up from whole cloth. How did they let us
yeah.
have children? I don't know. Who's in charge here?
No one. The monkeys are driving the bus.
Alarming. Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
my upbringing.
Yeah. And I know that controlling nature made you rebel,
Oh, for sure.
right?
For sure. Yeah.
And lie.
Oh, yeah. And once I started dating, I stayed in some terrible, terrible relationships because they got me out of that house. And wow, what a thing to learn as a young woman, to put up with some other person's bullshit because you don't want to put up with the bullshit in your house, which is supposed to be your safe
Yeah.
space. I think that if I had a healthier, happier, safe space, I would have known. I don't know. I think that I would have learned earlier on how to stand up for myself and what a healthy relationship looks like. And I mean, so many things, right?
Yeah.
So many things come out of that first childhood home.
Yeah. The way that I got out of the house when I was growing up was working.
Yeah.
I started working as soon as I could because to me that meant freedom. It meant I could be somewhere else. And then I was making money, which also meant freedom.
Yes.
That I could stay out, that I could use that money to do other things. And that, I don't know if that served me in some ways, you know, a good work ethic, but in other ways it did not serve me. I think it's been hard for me to slow down or to not do things, like a little bit of a toxic relationship with working.
Right. Yeah.
And with money, we all have our shit about money. Everyone has something weird about money. And it often starts in childhood and how your parents dealt with money and their anxieties or not. Right. And then the ones that you got from that,
Woof.
Either trying to do the same or trying to do the opposite. And I mean, that's what I've been doing my whole life, is trying to do the opposite of my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing.
It's not something to aim for. Like you said, it's the opposite. And so I overdid so many things in an effort to do better when I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about what's hard right now for us as parents. And also, we haven't mentioned the ages of our children. So my kids, I have a 11-year-old son and I have a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old daughter. So the things that are hard for me right now, I mean, there's a ton, but the greatest hits at the moment is technology and devices, like screen time and honestly, like addiction to these devices and instant gratification and the decimation of attention spans. And my daughter is getting ready to turn 13. And so we're going to get her a smartphone. And I am freaking out because I have read the studies about how smartphones and social media are so hard on their little brains. Their brains are not developed enough for this, and it is so negative to their mental health. And they're just really addictive machines. I mean, I'm a grown-ass adult with a fully cooked brain, and even I don't love my relationship with my phone. I actively am trying to use it less. And I'm 44. What chance do these children have, especially when they're native to it?
Yeah.
Ooh. Baby, that is a roughie.
Mhm.
So technology and devices and figuring out what to do,
Yes.
what straddling that line between letting them pursue the hobbies and be connected to their friends
Oh
in
my
the ways
gosh,
that they
yeah.
want, also protecting them and their mental health and not giving them too much of something they're not ready for.
Right.
Ugh. Okay, so that's one. Woo, just that's one.
Ah, it's a
Uh,
biggie.
it's a biggie. And another big one for me is feeding people.
Dude, that's a whole other
Yeah,
episode. That's a
I know.
whole bag of
Yeah.
worms.
Yeah. So my 11-year-old has sensory issues and is neurodivergent and is skinny. He's a small fry.
Mhm.
And that's okay. It is okay to be small, but he has food aversions and it is so tough. It is so tough to feed my family.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know this, but I have to do it every goddamn
Why
day.
do we have to eat every day? 3 times a day.
It
It's too much.
3. It's obnoxious. I can't.
Yeah.
Yesterday at like 2 p.m., I was like, oh my God, we have to eat again today.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
So figuring out how to keep people energized and nourished and live through the
Oh
tantrums
God.
and feed myself in a way that I want to be fed too
Right.
and not be a short order cook and be making 4 different meals and just Jesus take the wheel.
Yes. Yeah.
Ugh. Okay, so that's hard. And then the third really hard for me right now is the sibling fighting. These 2 kids are at each other's throats and it's so hard to watch, especially because they used to be BFFs. And
Oof.
how great that was. How good I didn't know I had it. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that they were BFFs when they were, like when the world shut down in March
Mhm.
of 2020 and they were their only playmates and they were, and that was good. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this is normal. Ha, there is no normal. And that was great. And that is not now. My 12-year-old is separating from all of us, developmentally
Yes.
appropriate,
Oh.
right? Yeah, that tween adolescent, find your own way. Um,
Mhm.
and it's hard. And
Mhm.
so the 12-year-old is leaving the 11-year-old behind. And it's just, they've just built up a lot of resentment between the two of them. And they're just sniping all the time. And obviously that's obnoxious to listen to. And it doesn't make me feel like I have a peaceful home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So I I don't have solutions
No, no, no,
exactly
no. We
for
come here
these
with
things.
no solutions. We have no
No.
idea. You gotta look elsewhere if you want
Yeah,
solutions.
that's not here,
Nope.
palsies.
No.
So, hi, those are my hard things.
Oh
Emily,
my God.
tell us the ages of your
Sure,
kiddos
sure.
and tell me what's hard.
Okay, so I have a 12-and-a-half-year-old and a 10-and-a-half-year-old, both boys. And one biggie forever and for always, right? When to nudge and when to let the child decide for
Mm,
him or herself. And that can be so many things, right? That's with food, that's with, whatever. For me in particular, I'm thinking about activities,
yep.
and I come to this as someone who was routinely signed up for things that I didn't want to do. Again, hello, controlling mother. And some of them I disliked and never went back
Mhm.
to. And this is my conundrum, right? But
I
some of
know.
them, like musical theater, sparked not only this lifetime love of that thing, but also put me in contact with my people, at an
Yes.
age, middle school, high school, where it's super important to find your people, to find your community of glorious oddballs. And that was just huge for me. This is one of those instances where I can't say, like, I'm not going to do it that way because something great
I know.
came out of it.
You had to be pushed outside
Exactly.
of your comfort zone. And how
Exactly.
hard do we
How
push?
hard to,
Because too much pushing is control
right,
and it's not giving them agency or
right,
choice.
right,
Boo,
right.
boo hiss.
Yes.
But not letting them, not making them
Mm.
push outside of their comfort zone, there's no growth there.
Right. And you don't know what you don't know. You don't know if you like
Mhm.
something until you try it.
Right.
And but getting these small people to try something, just
For God's sake.
try it. For the love of God, it's not going to kill you. So yeah, so that when to nudge, when to push, when to back off, all of that. No, thank you. I do not enjoy this. Another biggie for me is navigating these different stages. I feel like in parenting, you just get used to one stage, whatever stage it is, whether it's diapers or having a toddler in the house, you get used to it and then it changes. And the challenges change, of course, but
Yeah.
there are always challenges. And so you're constantly, you never feel like, okay, I got this. I'm good.
Totally.
I'm good. Put a fork in me. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's just always, wait, what? We're here? We're here now?
Where are we?
Who's driving this thing? So those are really the two hard things that I wanted to talk about, when to nudge, and then just like God navigating these different stages and how I feel like I'm always playing catch up. I'm never prepared for this next thing. And like, I remember when the kids were babies and I had baby books, right? I had these baby books that told me like what the next stage is, what to expect next. They don't make that shit for tweens and teens. And I'm like flying without a net here. And thank goodness we have each other and that we have other friends, and so that you know that you're not alone in this, because whew, this is a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm failing every day.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
What a bad feeling that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, to have community, for me to be able to text you and say, totally made my daughter cry before school today, nailing this parent thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Well, I really whiffed that one today. We'll try again tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. I can say a big difference between like how we were raised and kids these days, JK. Get off my lawn.
Close the door. We're not paying to heat the outside.
Nice. Oh my God. Were you listening to me earlier today? For sure. The concept of repair.
Oh, yes.
Wow. The fact that modern parenting, we have been given this concept of apologizing to your children, acknowledging your mistakes, your humanity, and repairing.
Yes.
Man, when I learned about that, I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Yes.
Of course.
Sign me up.
Totally. Yes, let's do it. And it was easy for me to get into with the kids because that's the shit I do with my husband. Like that's how we human.
Sure.
But in the 80s and 90s, these parents weren't admitting mistakes.
No.
They sure as shit weren't apologizing.
No. Right? Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. I was raised in a very blame-focused household. Like, you did this thing to me, or you made me mad. Not a very introspective household with very reactive parents. We didn't talk about anything. Nobody apologized. Nobody did a repair. And there was this sense that the parents were somehow untouchable, that they were never wrong, even when we knew in our bones that they were. And honestly, like, this is what I think is so sad about that, is that what a missed opportunity. What a wonderful thing now that we can, oh my gosh, first of all, just be human. I'm human. I make mistakes. And I want my kids to see that. I want my kindergartners to see that. I make mistakes. Yes. Let's celebrate that, because you know what? Making mistakes is how we learn.
Yeah.
You know?
It means you tried too.
For sure.
Yeah. And we're modeling, aren't we? Like we're modeling.
Yes.
Oh, we all make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. There's no such thing. Nobody told me that.
Yeah.
So another thing in my family of origin, when I was growing up, we didn't talk about hard things.
Oh, no.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And in this house, we do talk about hard things. I make them talk about hard things. They super hate it. And I'm just chipping away at this. Yeah, I'm an evil mom. But we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I just, again, that was like, I don't want to do it that way.
Yeah, bring
this
that shit out into the light. Let's talk about
yeah,
this.
put some light on it. Let's not raise a shame-filled home, because when you don't talk about things, it makes you feel like, oh, I can't talk about this. And then you isolate yourself. You feel alone. You feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Woof.
Unsubscribe. All right. So we're going to bring in a little bit of light and talk about some things that are actually working for us. Because when we're being honest with ourselves, it is not 100% dumpster fire.
Sure.
We are doing some things well.
I'm ready to take notes on yours. Pen in hand, paper in front of me. Oh. Give me your wisdom. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. I got a couple.
Okay.
One, Emily, we've talked about this. Car ride conversations.
Yeah.
Frickin' love sequestering the children.
You can call it kidnapping. It's okay. It's all right.
Hey, it's got kid in the name.
It's got kid in the name. Is it kidnapping with your own kids?
Apparently, the police think so.
All right, fine. Sticklers.
I know. Really rule followers. So I take these opportunities when we're stuck in a car and there aren't devices in front of our faces and we don't have to stare at each other. That's another great part, is you're avoiding eye contact. I'm supposed to be looking at the road, and taking those opportunities to have some good conversations and tricking them into it. So I love that. I use that any chance I get.
Nice.
Another thing that is pretty recent that is like, oh, wait, I think we're doing this good, is we've started including the kids in budget conversations.
Oh.
Yeah. So and we're not going at it from a emotional point of view. Oh, we got to cut back. But just like, money is a limited resource, and this is how much a person has in a month. And speaking of it in that way, and then involving them in some of the discussions, like, well, this is how much money we have for dining out in April.
Yeah.
And so do you want to go to Wendy's 4 times, or do you want to go to our favorite pizza place once? And they're earning an allowance now too. And so they're just like jazzed. They think they're freaking rich. And I think that's cute and cool. And so now they're also doing their own budgeting, and that's going really well. They're taking it well. My daughter is actually interested in it. It's really been a surprise. So that's cool. And then, okay, the thing that's going well is this weird thing that I've been doing, which I call taking it to court.
I love it. I love this story.
So I mentioned the kids are fighting. They hate each other, theoretically. And we have spent a lot of airtime saying, work it out yourselves, fix it yourselves, or whatever. And we thought that was a really great idea. Oh, you fix it yourselves. Yes. Be responsible. Grow up. This is your fight to fight, or whatever. And I realized, I had this like moment of clarity, just one moment, that it was like telling our kids to drive a car, but never giving them a driving lesson.
Yeah.
Just, I've been driving them around, and I was like, all right, your turn, you drive. And they're like, I don't fucking know how to drive.
I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
They don't. So we didn't give them the tools and skills to learn how to get through a disagreement. And so we started litigating disagreements, and I was like acting as a mediator, and we were at the dinner table, and I was letting the 11-year-old have his piece and say what was bothering him, and he'd start kitchen sinking it, and he'd start throwing in things from 2 years ago. And so I'm trying to like bring him back in, and I'm like, so what I hear you saying is, and say just the one thing that we're trying to litigate today, and then give the 12-year-old their space to say their part of it, and they start sinking it too. And I'm like, so what'd I hear you say? And so get to the actual disagreement of that moment. And then invite the other to see the other's perspective, which they hate and was very painful in the beginning. The first time we did this, it took an hour and there was lots of tears.
Yeah.
And then after everyone said their piece, had their time to say with their words how they felt, what was bothering them, how it made them feel, trying to use I statements, which is kind of a hard thing to teach.
Yes.
Staying away from always and never. You always do this.
Gosh,
I never get to. And that's not real life. That's hyperbole. Okay, so doing that part. And then I said, okay, we're going to take a break. And you're going to go think about this. You're going to think about your choices. And your choices are, and they had some choices. They had a choice of like, hate each other for the rest of their lives. Or one could give in or the other could give in. And we talked about like sibling karma. And they didn't believe sibling karma at first. The 11-year-old was like, she'll never remember this. And I was like, she will, because we're talking about it and we're saying it, and won't you? And so they did. They came back together 15 minutes later and said what they picked, what they wanted the outcome to be, and negotiated and resolved it. Nice. And it was deeply painful the first time. And the second time we did it, still painful, but it took less time and there were fewer tears. And now it's like we gave them the training wheels. Yeah. And they're doing a lot better. And I've noticed that all the years of resentment that had piled up, the mountain has gotten smaller.
Nice.
And they're able to get along better because they're learning how to disagree.
Yeah.
And we made mention, like from the beginning, it's like, hey, listen, you're going to have to deal with people that you don't agree with, people you don't even like for your whole life. It could be classmates. It could be coworkers. It could be roommates. It's going to be a lot of people.
Right.
And you won't have a choice. You can't just walk away. You can't fire a coworker.
Right.
So you need to learn how to deal with people pissing you off and not just like lose your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And it actually worked. I don't know. It's working.
That's awesome. And how great
it's
to give them practice in that.
Yeah, we're giving them like a safe space to do this. It's the training wheels.
For sure. I love that.
I've noticed that the 11-year-old is getting better at saying what's bothering him.
Nice.
Just last night, he was losing his mind, and eventually he was able to say, this is what's bothering me. I don't like it when you do this. I don't like it when you do this. And he admitted he was upset about a different thing. He was upset about a video game thing that wasn't working out for him.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he was able to realize like what was underneath it, because so often that's actually what's going on. It's not what we're saying or doing. It's something underneath.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Right. But to be young and to be able to figure that out is like, what?
Exactly. To grow that introspection. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reflection. Yeah. Okay. Those are the only things I'm doing okay.
That's it.
That's the whole list. That's it.
Yeah.
Your turn. What's going all right for you?
Okay. So one thing, and this is a small thing, and I'm going to call it high, low, what do you know? Okay.
Oh, I love this.
So my backstory here is that we homeschooled for 3 years. So starting in March of 2020, when the world came crashing down, we homeschooled. And it was lovely. It was like, I loved it. And the kids loved it. And my husband loved it. We all loved it. What that meant was that we had an insight, not just an insight, but we had a window, a subscription into what was going on in our kids' lives. We knew what was up. Truly. You know what I mean? Yep. And so then when we made the decision as a family that they would go back to public school starting this past August, all of a sudden that subscription was cut off. We didn't know what was going on in their lives. And tell me about your day, or how was your day, is way too open-ended. Even for adults, it's
Mhm.
kind of like, where do I begin? And
Yeah.
so we say things like, oh, it was fine. It's good. What happened? Nothing. Right?
Oh,
No thanks.
I wanna know
Well,
everything. I
right.
wanna know
Yes,
what your friends ate for
for
lunch.
sure.
I really
Yeah, I
do.
do too. But high, low, what do you know is asking for 3 specific pieces of information. So what was your high for the day? Or what was one high? What
Mhm.
was your low? Or what was one low? And then what do you know? What's one thing you learned today? And it gives a lovely little window into their lives. It is an answerable question for them. It doesn't feel like too big. It doesn't feel too open-ended. And then they ask it back to me. Hi, Lo, what do you know? And I love that because they don't have any insight into my life either. I've got this job. I'm doing the kindergarten thing, teaching the littles, and they want to know what's going on with me. And I think
Mm.
that's great. It enables us to come back together at the end of the day and give little bits of what happened to us during the day without it being like, God, let me tell you all about my day and what happened. And
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
it's nice. I like that little window.
I love it.
Another thing that I think that is going well is this is a bigger one, coming to really understand that the assignment of parenting is that they leave, that they become functioning, independent adults. And
Yeah, that's the job.
yeah, that's the job. You need to keep that assignment in mind.
Yep.
And I see that even more clearly now that I am a kindergarten teacher and I see these parents, loving parents. I'm not saying that these people are monsters, loving parents swooping in to zip up the jacket, swooping in to do these things. And no, friend, they need to do that themselves. They need to
Yeah.
learn to do these things. It gives them a sense of independence. It gives them confidence
Yep.
that cannot be overstated. So I think just really reminding myself all the time that the assignment of parenting is that they leave. You are here to help them learn how to become fully functioning, independent, wonderful, lovely adults. And
Mhm.
I think that if you can keep that assignment in mind,
Mhm.
you're going to do okay. I really think that.
You're so right, because when we think our job is to make them happy,
Mm,
we go too far afield.
right.
Because then we start removing all their discomforts,
Yeah.
which is a mistake I've made and I'm trying to rectify.
Yeah.
That's not the job.
No.
That doesn't prepare them for the discomforts. That makes sure that they don't know how to deal with
Right. When it
discomforts.
comes their way. And it will.
Yeah. It 100%
Yeah.
bad news. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. And then also, I guess if I just to tack on a third one, to show your kids that you're fallible, which we talked about earlier. Show them
Yep.
that you're human and that you're not
Yeah.
untouchable and that you make mistakes.
Yeah. When I make a little mistake and they point it out, I go, whoops, guess I'm human too.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly talking to myself too when I say that,
Mm-hmm.
because I have been a perfectionist. I'm trying not to be anymore.
Right.
And I need to remind myself that mistakes are not, they're not a moral failing. Ah, I do not feel qualified.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope.
Okay, that is what we have time for. There's so much more to say.
Right.
I hope that we will. I hope we'll tackle some of these topics in future podcasts. So, thank you for sharing. Thanks for sharing here with everybody, but thank you for oh my God, thank you for sharing with me.
Right? Yes.
Yes, on a constant basis,
Yes.
text, our biweekly calls,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
to have a place where I can just commiserate with you
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
about how hard things are. And I learn from you every time. I love the high low, what do you know? That's awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
You make me a better parent.
Oh, you make me such a better parent. It's like parenting. I mean, God, talking about social media, if you look at Instagram and Facebook and all these like shiny, happy families, and it's like, oh God, they're doing it all right. And I'm doing it all wrong,
Mm-hmm.
clearly. And you don't
Yeah,
see the
that's
ugly
certainly,
stuff.
mm-hmm. That's a lie that I've told myself, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it.
Yeah.
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 It's not the whole picture.
Right.
And like, that's why with my friends, I get into the shit.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I just, that's what's important to me is real conversations and authenticity.
Yeah. Bathe in the shit. That's where it is.
Yeah. Well, get down here with me, babe,
Yeah.
because this is where I hang
Yeah.
out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Oh, God save us. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you a story. So we're going to do story time with the gal pal Sal. So this started about 2 years ago, and me and the fam were on vacation. So it was my mister and our 2 kids, and I made a declaration at the dinner table that took everyone by surprise, including myself. I literally didn't know I was going to say this. And I was like, hey, you know what, everybody? No, I don't. On vacation, we can all make small curses. And they were like, wow, what? And Ben's like, what? And I'm like,
we didn't
sure.
clear this ahead of time.
Yeah. Oh, totally, right? I did not clear this with the board. I'm like, sure, yeah. Small curses are okay on vacation now. And so we had to clarify, what's a small curse? Good question. Seriously, figuring this out as I was talking.
Right.
So like shit, crap, hell, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are small curses.
Sure.
Those are small ones. And, my 11-year-old, who, by the way, my youngest was finishing 3rd grade and the other was finishing 5th grade. So that was about their ages. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, we can make small curses on vacation. They were like, what up? This is awesome. Ice cream for dinner and curses. And part of the reason why I did it was because I wanted to curse. Because the surprising thing about me is, as much as I curse, I mean, it's in the name of my show. When I had my first kid, as soon as that kid hit Earth, I stopped cursing. Like, I curse around my friends and coworkers and everybody else, but not my kids. And so my kids didn't hear me curse. Like, I would maybe make some curses out of their earshot, but until that moment, I wasn't really cursing around them at all. And I also realized, like, what the fuck? Like, I wanted to curse. And they were getting older. So small curses on vacation, adults too. Yeah. And it was so cute because they were like practicing. Got to start somewhere. So they were just saying the silliest stuff, like, I want some crap in cereal or whatever. Just not knowing how to use these words. And so that's giggle-tastic. That's fun. I'm having a good time. And I'm on vacation and I can curse. So they were practicing. It was like training wheels. And so we had fun with it. It was fun. It was this little extra special thing we got to do on vacay. And we went on vacation again a couple months later and it was like, woo, vacation cursing, woo. And then the rules evolved as they got older. And I loved that at the beginning of it, they were like, oh, you too? And I was like, here's the thing. I'm a grown up and I can curse whenever I want. Yeah. That's the new rules. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, why did I wait this long? Yeah. So then I gave myself permission to curse. And that was like, oh, God, finally I can be myself around these people. Right. And then as they got older, the rules evolved. And I was like, middle schoolers can curse. I was like, middle schoolers can curse at home now. And they were like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah. Don't do it around small kids. But it gave us this opportunity to have these conversations. Yeah. And so they were practicing at home in like their safe place. And so we talked about the N-word. Sure. And I was like, do you know what that is? And they did know. And I was like, so it's never okay to use that word. And they were like, yeah. And we talked about why it's never
Right.
okay for us to use that word.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was like, you can never call a woman a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a loaded term.
Mm-hmm.
That is a word that has been used against female identifying people,
Mm-hmm.
and don't do it.
Yeah.
We got to have these conversations
Right.
so that they weren't out there messing up. And
yeah.
and so now, proudly, I have children who know how to wield a curse.
Yes.
And you know what? That's appropriate for me. That's life goals
Yeah.
for me. And I can curse whenever I want now.
Yeah.
So, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done.
So that's the vacation cursing. That's my story.
Nice.
We're pretty goofy around here. All right. Now is the time where we share a joy. So, Emily, will you share one joy, something that's bringing you joy in your life right now?
Yes. So this is a story from my kindergarten classroom. And I was working in a small group the other day. I had 3 kiddos and we were at this square table. And the little girl across from me held up her middle finger and she said, "Is this my middle finger?" Now, she's an only child, delightful family. Love this little girl. She's just a cherub. I love her. Okay. So the boy sitting next to her is the youngest of 3 boys. He knows what a middle finger is. So she holds up her middle finger and she says, "Is this my middle finger?" He immediately starts hissing at her. He's, "Put that away. Well, you can't do that. Put that away." He's apoplectic, right? His little face is practically turning red. And she turns to him and she goes, "It's my finger. I can do what I want with it." And I love that. And so, yes, child, that is your middle finger. But I love that. I love both of those pieces, right? First of all, that he knew what that was. He knew what the middle finger means in this culture. And also, I love that she was like, "It's my body. I get to do what I want with it. Go, girl." I love it. Yes. Well done to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. Around the time that we were starting our small curses, the middle finger did come out sometimes.
Sure.
My younger would tattle and he would say, "She called me the F word." That's what that meant to him.
Oh my gosh.
"She called me the F word." That's not even a thing.
Right, that's not a thing. What's so funny about that, and we talk to our kids about this too, is that these words have power because we say they have power. It's not inherently a thing. We have assigned meaning to the middle finger. I've now flipped you off on camera so many times. But like, it kind of takes mystery away when it's like that means that because we say it means that.
Right.
By itself, it's just your middle finger. Not a big deal.
Yes.
I don't know.
Like the learning to curse also took some of the verboten out of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like how you were really controlled and that made you rebel. That can happen. Like a child who doesn't have any junk food at home isn't allowed to eat any junk food.
Sure.
Like they're going to become a fiend when they get access to it. And like that can be true with cursing as well.
Sure.
Oh, God forbid. And so it's kind of like a pressure release.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It takes the power away from it.
Okay. My joy share is fresh. It's from this morning.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the reasons why I woke up early on a Sunday, to not just see my son play hockey, but it was also to see this family that I love. So there is this wonderful family. We call them the Treem team. Their last name is Treem. These are friends of ours from daycare.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, this is from when the kids, we met them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were our pals, our buddies through that time, that chapter of our lives. And we just love these people. And they have moved 3 towns away and life be lifing. And I haven't got to see any of them in years.
Wow.
And I got to see the dad, Isaac, today. I got to see the mom, Katie, today. And oh man, my smile was so big. To see these people, to get to hug these people
Nice.
was so
That's
fantastic.
delightful.
Yeah, that filled my heart.
Yeah, that's great. I love that for you.
Yeah, thanks. Emily, thank you so much for joining me today. It is always a delight to talk to you,
Aw.
obviously, but I'm so glad we talked about this.
Thank you so much for having me. I love these really important conversations that we're having. They give me life, they give me joy, even in the hard stuff. So thank you.
Totally. I hope that some people are listening, and I hope that they were nodding along
Yes.
to some of the hard
Oh
shit.
my gosh, yes.
And maybe if we said anything that's working for us, I mean, steal these ideas if something's good, because it does really take a village. And our villages have all disappeared.
Yes.
Like, the villages have been decimated. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
We need to build up our villages. We need to have our communities and our people that help us through these hard times.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's easy to feel like you're failing, and you're not. You're just struggling, and we are all struggling.
Yeah.
So thank you. And thank you to my listeners that are still here. I super appreciate that you're here. And that's it for this episode. So this is your gal pal, Sal. You have been listening to Chin Hairs and F-Bombs, Conversations with Girlfriends, and I hope to talk to you again soon.